People keep coming in. Well, it is 7 o'clock. Let's go ahead and start so we don't penalize those who are here on time. Hello, everyone. I don't know if it's good evening, good morning, or whatever time zone it is for you. No matter the time, thank you for being here with us, because you definitely have other things to do. And we appreciate that you came to listen to our webinar. I actually did something that I rarely do. I sent out an invitation to everyone who has registered to our seminars in the past, because I did not want you to miss this very interesting presentation. It's one of a kind, because the two people who are our speakers, I want to say they are the one of a kind. This is by far the biggest success story I have seen not only in our program, but in many similar programs at HSE, where a team of two people have taken a prize, top prize, first or second place, not in one or in two, but in 4 international competitions of a very high level, with hundreds of submissions from data science teams all over the world. But by data science teams all over the world, I mean universities like MIT and University of Washington, University of Virginia, and some of the companies like Google and Amazon. So people who are professional data scientists are competing in these competitions, and our students and now graduates have actually taken over and have won those prizes. So I wanted to share the experience with you so that they can tell you their success story. As I also wrote to everyone in the email, we have a new generation of winners growing up. Our first year student, she just started, have came in a finalist in one of the Kaggle competitions, working completely alone. So we know this is not a fluke. We know this is not something that happens by random chance. It happens by hard work, dedication, education, and lots of other things that our wonderful team of Artyom and Kate will tell you about. So without any further ado, I will introduce to you Ekaterina Milyanova and Artyom Volgin, graduates of our program, and I will also share the secret that they're going to Britain for PhD programs. They're accepted on scholarship, which is very rare, and they can tell you about that themselves. I had to spill it a little bit. People who actually exemplify success and who demonstrate what can be done if you put your heart and your enough effort into the educational programs you're attending. Okay, so please allow me to introduce to you Kate and Artyom. As I said, I will be answering your questions as I go along. I will not be interfering. This is their presentation and their time to shine. When you have questions about the program afterwards, I will be happy to answer. Again, thank you for being here, and let's go ahead and start.
Yep. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. My name is Ekaterina Milyanova.
My name is Artyom Volgin.
And so in this presentation, we are going to talk about how to win data analytics competitions. Since, as was said, we have quite a diverse experience in participating in those competitions, so we wanted to sort of share our accumulated knowledge and experience with you. So this presentation will contain a lot of interesting practical points for you, a lot of pieces of advice on how to participate in those competitions and how to win actually them. So what you should do and what you should not. So this presentation will be organized in the following manner. So first, we will introduce you to the general context of competitions in general, primarily Kaggle competitions, as we're going to talk about them here today. Then I will briefly provide an overview of all the competitions we've gone through so far, and then we will proceed to our reflection on what and provide you with those practical points, tips, and what you should do and what you should not. Okay, so for those who don't know what Kaggle is a platform for data scientists and machine learning practitioners. This is an online platform that organizes different competitions related to data analysis. And there are different types of competitions that are hosted on this platform. basically two types: machine learning competitions and analytics competitions. So as for the machine learning competitions, the format is pretty much straightforward. It follows from the title. So in those competitions, you are given a data set with different variables and with the target or dependent variable denoted in this data set. And you basically have to predict the values of these dependent variable, build a prediction. So obviously you have to use machine learning methods for that, and the evaluation of the submission is based on some objective criteria, such as mean squared errors. So this is a type of competitions which is perfect if you want to train your machine learning skills. However, there is another type, which is called analytics. They are tagged analytics competition on their website. Probably you've seen that. So it's a little different. You are given a task which is potentially transformable into a research question that you have to elaborate on in your submission using storytelling. So basically you have to produce a piece of text where you show how you apply different methods, how you interpret models, where you provide different visualizations, and the evaluation is conducted by people, so by juries. In our presentation, we are going to talk about analytics competitions here. We're not going to talk about machine learning competitions, since we are experienced in participating in analytics competitions. Okay? So first, I will provide you with the overview of all our competitions we participated in so far. So the first competition is called Kaggle ML NDC Survey. It was conducted in 2019, and it was organized by Kaggle itself. So we were given a data set about Kaggle users, that is, people who use Kaggle platform. And there was a lot of information about their socio-demographic characteristics, for example, their work, education, skill set that they possess. And we were asked to tell a data story about a subset of data science community represented in the survey through a combination of both narrative tags and data exploration. In our research, we focused on a PhD community represented by this data set. So those people who got PhD degree in any area, and we use network analysis to tell a story about this community. So right away, we were able to take second place and earn $8,000. The second competition was called DC4G Data Science for Good Environmental Insights Explorer. It was organized by Google in 2020, and we were asked to develop a methodology to calculate an average annual historical emissions factor for the subnational region. In our case, it was Puerto Rico. And so for those who don't know what emissions factor is, it's just about the amount of emissions released, such as NO2, per the amount of energy produced by power plants. And in this competition, we used a data set collected through satellites, which is called remote sensing data, and it contained information about NO2 emissions, weather conditions. Also, we used additional information from OpenStreetMap. And so basically, we developed this methodology to calculate emissions factor. For that purpose, we used special panel modeling, and we took first place in this competition, and we earned $10,000. Next competition, third, is called March Madness Analytics, was organized by Google Cloud and National Collegiate Athletic Association, was held in 2020. And we were asked to tell a data story about college basketball through a combination of both narrative text and data exploration. So we were given different data sets, a lot of data sets about teams, players, games, different records of play-by-play events. And in our submission, we analyzed assist networks between players, also different other types of networks. We used such a complicated method, which is called exponential random graph modeling. However, we were not able to take any place here, and we didn't earn anything. Why did it happen? The reasons of that we will elaborate on further in the presentation.
Not because of exponential random graph.
Oh, I hope so, not because of that. the next competition is called CDP Unlocking Climate Solutions. It was organized by a company which is called CDP. This is a non-profit organization which basically deals with the different environmental issues. It was conducted in 2020, and we were asked to develop a methodology for calculating KPIs, that is, key performance indicators, that relate to the environmental and social issues. We had to discuss the intersection between those issues and demonstrate whether city and corporate admissions take these factors into account. So this was the most vaguely formulated task. We didn't get it at first. And how to behave in that situation, what should you do, we will tell further. And now I just will finish with the description. So as for the data, we use the semi-structured surveys of city officials and corporate managers that are responsible for the climate change. So that was basically an expert interview. A lot of the data set, that was the richest data set I've ever encountered in my life. So we used a lot of methods in the submission, such as data envelopment analysis, association rules mining. We explored cities reports, that is, we analyzed textual data. We used structural topic modeling, and we got second place. So we earned $25,000. Okay. And finally, the last competition was related to coronavirus. It was called the Coronavirus 19 Symptom Data Challenge. Was organized by top universities in the area of epidemiology and health policy. So those people organized a survey on Facebook. So they basically cooperated with Facebook. And in this survey, they asked people about coronavirus symptoms, about people wearing or not wearing masks, about their mental health. The data contained some information about people's socio-demographic characteristics and so on. And so using these data, which included 10 million Facebook users, we had to develop a novel analytic approach to enable early detection of coronavirus and improve situational awareness of the outbreak by public health authorities and the general public. In our submission, we focused on the intersection between people's behavior in governmental actions, and how that intersection together leads to the amount of new coronavirus cases. For that purpose, we used the vector regression modeling and its multi-level extension. So in the end, we took second place, and we were able to earn $25,000 and $5,000 for passing the semifinal stage. So in total, $30,000, since they had a lot of stages, and it was not hosted by Kaggle. This is the only competition which was not organized by Kaggle, and we had a little different format there. We've gone through a lot of presentations, so yeah, it was different. Pre-defense. Yeah, pre-defense or something like this. So, but in general, the data analysis part and everything related to that was the same. All right, so let's proceed to our reflection on what we've gone through and what can we sort of recommend to you, what you should do or what you should not. The first section we titled Team and Time. So the most important point here is you have to team up with other people. Possibly working alone is not beneficial for you, since during the whole process you will be faced with a lot of different tasks that you have to perform simultaneously, and you will not be able possibly to do that efficiently. And also you have to have a person with whom you will share your ideas and learn whether what you want to do actually makes sense or it's bullshit. Working in a team of people where there are more than 3 persons, probably it's too much. And again, it's not really advantages, because those people will interfere, will disturb each other. And in general, communicating in such large groups is complicated, especially online. So in the end, possibly 2 is the best number for the amount of people working on your team. For example, we're working together, so it's fine. Now, what else? Why do you need to team up and work with other people? Of course, you can bring together different expertise. For example, one person is proficient at statistical analysis, another person is good at the substantive aspects of what you're researching, or one person is good at visualization. For example, I'm bad at visualization. However, my partner is better at that, and I can do writing. Also importantly, you can bring together different statistical knowledge. It's impossible for one person to know all the methodologies existing in this world, especially given the fact that they are rapidly changing. So you can team up and bring your knowledge together. As for the time, well, generally you will be given around 1 month to finalize your submission.
Sometimes more.
Sometimes, yeah, more, sometimes less. However, the more time you will use from that time period, is the better, of course. If you realize that you have less than 2 weeks left, do not even start the competition. Possibly you will not be able to win it. So we learned this through our empirical experience, and possibly that was the reason why we didn't win in our March Madness competition, because we spent like less than 2 weekends on that. This is definitely not enough. Another point, do not be a perfectionist. Well, this is serious. Sometimes, although this applies to any area you're working in, everything that you do in this life, sometimes people tend to underestimate the importance of the statement. Like, you will not be able to produce a completely, utterly flawless submission. Just focus on the most important things. Do not be a perfectionist. I remember one time in our last competition on Kaggle, we were almost on the verge of not submitting anything just because we were too perfectionist. So don't be like this. Behave like a rational person, and be selective. Do not include everything. And of course, simultaneity. You can perform different tasks simultaneously with your team member. For example, one person does exploratory data analysis, another person does some substantive theoretical research on the topic. You can perform different parts of purpose testing simultaneously if it's complicated. Sometimes that happens. And again, like I said, you can do, one person can do visualization, another person can do writing. For example, this is the strategy that we are, following together with my partner, and it works just perfectly. Okay, now, in order to win in data analytics competitions, you have to know who your organizers are. Generally, these are just companies or organizations that are interested in a certain question, and they want to receive an answer to this question. However, they might be interested in many other things. For example, normally they provide you with a data set, and they ask you to explore this data set. They expect you to show the usefulness of this data, to show the applicability of each of certain questions. So in your submission, you need to sort of sell this data, because in the majority of the cases, these data sets are quite unique and novel. Also, those corporations, of course, want to increase the media coverage, and they want to publicly promote themselves. So possibly in your submission, you may want to refer to the activities in which those companies are involved. And sometimes after such competitions, those organizations may hire new people. So participating in them means that you have a chance to get a new job. And what do they not want to see from you? Obviously, they do not want to see from you the showcase of your knowledge and statistics. So this is not an examination. They're not testing you. So please do not include all, the mathematical formulas that you have. Just show the applicability of those methods to the research question they're asking. Do not demonstrate obvious results. Well, no one is interested in obvious results. However, those results could be potentially interesting, like as a separate, research. However, if those people already know something, you do not need to, include that into your submission. And do not do blah, blah, blah means that do not artificially increase the volume of your submission just to demonstrate that your submission is full or it's large. do not include some irrelevant information, it will be noticeable, it will be visible, it will spoil the impression about your submission. Just be very concrete. It's better even to shorten your submission than to increase it irrelevantly. Another important, which is related to organizers and understanding what they want, I will demonstrate through one example. So let's take an example of our Environmental Insights Explorer competition. So I will recall to you that the task was the following. We had to develop a methodology to calculate an average annual historical emissions factor for the subnational region. We had to provide recommendations how to use this methodology on in other areas. And we were able to get additional point for calculating this on smaller time slices and compute marginal emissions factors. So here the formulation of the task is pretty much clear. I don't know about you, but for me it's clear that you have to basically provide a methodology to calculate the emissions factor.
We still don't understand what is marginal emissions factor.
Yes, sometimes it can happen. I will elaborate on that further. However, it could be the case that those tasks are not clear. For example, in our Unlocking Climate Solution competition, we had to develop a methodology for calculating KPIs that relate to the environmental and social issues. Okay, here I can understand you can need to develop key performance indicators. Now, discuss the intersection between environmental issues and social issues. What does that mean? I mean, you will not be able to comprehensively cover this question in a single submission because environmental issues and social issues may intersect in multiple ways. What do they really want? I don't understand this. And now demonstrate whether city and corporate emissions take these factors into account. Well, it seems like those people do not really understand what they want themselves. Therefore, it's your job to to understand what they want. So here it's like KPIs and something else. What to do in the situation? The general recommendation from us is, of course, to rely on your intuition and overall background of your knowledge in the area, however small that is. And of course, explore the data that they provide to you. Explore some started information about the organization itself. That will provide you with some insights and you will be able to build upon that. Now, in order to win in those competitions, you have to know who your competitors are. So we learned that most of the participants in those competitions, at least on Kaggle, are students, primarily PhD students. However, those who win sort of tend more to academia, and we can call them like data analysts, academic researchers, rather than data engineers and data scientists.
Business analysts.
Or business analysts, yeah. So therefore, those people who win, they have skills in analytical modeling. They can provide models that are interpretable. They can, infer some substantive, practical points from what they do. They are good at visualization and they're good at storytelling. And those who constitute the majority of the participants have knowledge just in general in machine learning. Well, machine learning is perfect in general, but this is not enough for you to win data analytics competitions. And then you have to have domain knowledge in the area if you want to win. And usually those who just participate without winning, they don't have this knowledge. However, as we showed in our example, it's not necessarily the case. You do not need to have that domain knowledge. For example, we didn't have it in any of the competitions we participated in. I still don't know what marginal emission factor is.
But we calculated.
Yeah, but you can study that as you go and you can learn this. It's not a big deal. Now, another important point, which is related to competitors, and understanding the difference in the backgrounds, I will demonstrate through the example. Let's take the example of our coronavirus competition. I will recall to you, we had to develop a novel analytic approach to enable early detection of coronavirus and improve situational awareness of the outbreak by public health authorities and the general public. So we learned that most of the participants are PhD students actually large groups of PhD students led by their professors or academic supervisors from leading universities in America. And they were from computer science and epidemiology departments. So they were really specialized in time series modeling and epidemiological forecasting. Is it complicated to compete with those people? Well, it's super complicated to compete with those people. But what can you do? You can be smart and think about what those people can produce in the end. So given their data engineering and epidemiological background, most likely that they will produce different forecasting models of coronavirus. And they did this. So in order to stand out, you have to produce something different, because in that situation, judges will notice you, will pay attention to you, and probably you will be able to win, like we did. For example, we, in this competition, build different models using vector regression modeling, and we interpreted substantively those models, and we were able to make some policy relevant inferences and provide recommendations for the government. So I think that was one of the reasons we really, we were able to take second place and earn $30,000 in this competition. All right, yeah.
So let's go deeper in our submission. What you should do in terms of the methods that you use there. So let's talk first about complexity of these methods. Let's imagine an axis where on the one hand you have some simple methods, right? Like linear regression, k-means, right? And on the other side you have something way more complicated. I won't even tell the names here, but you see that it's they look quite dangerous, right? Bayesian, if something starts with Bayesian, probably it's no way for you to be able to get it done in this type of competitions, because it's too time demanding. So what you need to choose, right, from these two types of methods? Probably you should choose something in between, right? You don't need to overcomplicate something. On the other hand, you don't need to provide some simple stuff just because, first of all, probably someone else will do that as well. And secondly, usually such methods do not give you a lot of interesting output. So of course, methods that are represented here, just some sample of all the methods that you can use, right? But just to take the main point, just don't overcomplicate, but also try to do something a little bit more advanced than some pretty usual stuff. Okay, another thing that is quite easy to do actually is to take methods from different areas and combine them for some other area. For example, in our submission competition related to environmental research, CDP, unlocking climate solutions, we did a lot of stuff there. It was crazy, to be honest. So, for example, in the area of operational research, they have interesting method called data model analysis. Quite simple, quite powerful. Nobody outside this area usually uses this, right? You can apply it here. Why not? Station rules mining, usually used by some companies, some retail companies for market basket analysis. I think that's how it's called. So also can be applied here, right? If you know how to apply it. Also, structural topic modeling. Usually people use it in political science, I think. So why not to use it here, right? And the point is that all these methods, they are not that complicated, but usually people just try to do something that everyone do in their area, everyone does in their area. So, and that's why they kind of always surprised by some new things that they never heard about it. And you can use it. You can just look for some other examples for in different areas are completely unrelated to the substantive area that you are working on, and just get some methods from these areas and apply them. It's working nice for us, at least, yeah. Usually. Okay, another important question. very important question, what to choose, where to, as a programming language for this type of computations. And the main division, of course, will be between Python and R. And here we'll get some points, provide you with some points towards both of these languages, but all these tips will be important only for data analytics competitions. We are not comparing these two languages in general. So what can Python offer us here? First of all, if you are dealing with some textual data, I think Python will be better just because R is not that good in this. Large data sets, as for me, Python is better in this type of, if you have some data like this. Some complex data structures, I think R can, maybe I'm just better in R, I don't know, but I think Python is better for this type of things. Also, in some of these analytics computations, you can have some subtasks related to machine learning, right? And of course, Python will be more beneficial for this type of things. And in general, if we are talking about Kaggle analytics computations, Python is just more popular there. And that's why it will be easier for you to start your submission, because you will have, people will share some notebooks with their EDA, for example, or pre-processing of the data. So it will be easier for you to start if you use R or if you use Python. So, and for R, on the other hand, what R can offer you? Of course, regression modeling is just better implemented in R because it was designed for that. Network analysis, all the methods related to networks, I think Python has some, but not at the same extent. Time series usually also has an advantage here. As for spatial analysis as well, and like things related to geographic data. So Python has some things, but not that much, I think. And in general, some quite rare statistical models, probably you will find them in R rather than in Python. So for example, our spatial panel model, it just does not exist in Python at all. So we didn't have any choice to make from. So in general, I think you probably should stick to R for this type of competitions. But of course, you need to decide on that based on the task they provided to you. Okay, so another very important thing to mention here that if I'm talking about Kaggle analytics competition, that you need to provide your submission in so-called Kaggle notebooks. So basically, you can see the picture of this Kaggle notebook. It's basically like Jupyter notebook, online Jupyter notebook, right? There you need to, and to be able to participate in these competitions, you need to provide all your code, all your text inside these Kaggle notebooks. And the problem is that for R, for example, is just not very efficient to work in Kaggle notebooks because RStudio will be better in this, but you still will need to basically Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V all your code from your local machine and upload it to Kaggle notebooks in the end. And you can say, okay, what's the problem, right? Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, everyone can do it. But the problem is that you have some local libraries on your machine, right, on your computer. And they will have some different things there, have some different versions of these libraries. Probably, what can be, your plots, your beautiful plots that you will produce, they will rescale them differently based on some things, right? So a lot of things can go wrong. So for example, in one of our competitions, CDP, Unlocking Climate Solutions, again, we use a lot of this. Yeah, but it was quite massive. Oh, quite massive, yeah. So what we had there, 2,000 lines of code. It was a lot of processing, a lot of modeling. It was very, very complicated data set. And basically, if you use R Markdown, you need to provide all this code kind of in one big chunk. So in order for Kaggle Notebook, in order to submit it to Kaggle Notebook, Kaggle Notebook need to run it all at once, to compile it all at once. So, and we start doing this like few hours till the deadline, like 12 p.m. It was 3 a.m. of course, because it's
UTC
yeah,
time.
UTC time, yeah. So, and of course, something went wrong many times. And the problem is that you need to, like, we had some mistakes in the end of our file, in the end of our lines of code, right? And we need to fix the error, then run it again, run again. It was crazy. I don't want to recommend, I don't recommend you to go through this. So,
Painful experience for us.
yeah, it was really painful experience. Yeah, the problem is that, like, you have everything on your computer. You have everything, but you're unable to submit it to them, right? And like $50,000 for the first prize
On stake.
on stake, yeah. Like, so like, okay, the main point here is just keep few days to transfer all your code to Kaggle Notebooks. Just it will help you a lot, because otherwise you can just lose. Okay, let's move to more positive things. Yeah. What about visualization? Right. So general recommendations here will be the following. Important thing, only important graphs. The many competitors do this mistake that they try to provide all the things that we did, all the EDA graphs, all the distributions, all the variables that they have, that stick them like 20, 30, 50 graphs, different graphs. No, you don't need to do this, like 5 main graphs that you have. Of course, sometimes you will need to throw away something that is really nice looking, but it just doesn't fit well, right? You already have a lot of things. So don't just provide only important things in terms of your plots. In every plot, you should stick to one kind of main thing in this plot. Don't try to embed all your findings in one histogram. Probably it's hard to do like this, but still try to be focused. So one picture, one story inside this picture. Consistent style. Also, a lot of participants don't even think about that. They just go straight. Like here will be, they use one palette. Here they use another palette, and in the end, it's just complete mess. So you don't understand what's going on, like rainbow of colors. So just be consistent throughout your whole submission. Also, nice feature of Kaggle Notebooks, and I think R Markdown in general also provide this option. So you can make interactive graphs, interactive plots. So, for example, some maps that you can zoom in, zoom out, or like network where you can drag nodes. And it's nice feature. People can play with that. You can utilize this thing, but keep in mind that probably it's better to do it once or twice. So you don't need to make everything interactive throughout your whole submission. And also important thing, please don't put a lot of memes there. Like some people just go absolutely crazy with memes. They just start one popular meme here, picture. I mean, like picture, literally pictures of memes, pictures everywhere, and you just forget about what's going on. You're just enjoying the memes, so you kind of get lost the point of the kind of submission itself in the end. So no memes here, please. If we are talking about important graphs, right? What types of visualization you probably should consider to use here? First of all, of course, networks. For some reason, people just love them. I don't know. Probably people think that, oh, it's related to this. This one related to this. Probably I can see the whole picture. Oh, I know everything right now. I don't know. But people love networks. That's for sure. Another thing Maps as well, very kind of attractive to people. They look from the skies to this planet, to this country. So they love them as well. And you have seen a lot of these graphs throughout the past year. So time series graphs are also attract a lot of attention. So people feel like, oh, it's going up or it's going down. So they can feel they think that they can predict the future based on these graphs. Sometimes, usually, of course, you can, but so also nice visualization to consider. Of course, all these things are conditional on that you have such type of data. You have network data, you have spatial data, you have time series data. Not always you have, not for every competition you have such type of data, right? But if you have it, probably you should base your kind of story, your submission around these main graphs. That will be, I think, very nice thing to do. But don't go overboard with this, because, for example, for our submissions, I think we got too crazy about networks pictures, and we do too much of them. I mean, like, some of them were not really like relevant. Yeah, I don't think that you should do so much networks. So keep it kind of in a simple way. So one network per submission. Okay, let's move to also very important and very people forget about this a lot. Not forget, but they don't pay a lot of attention to this. And this the text of your submission, the writing part. What is the general recommendation here? First one is quite obvious, like, right? You need to check your submission for error, for grammatical errors, for I don't know, paraphrase some adjectives there. Just make a good impression to the judges. Storytelling also, you need to combine your different parts of your submission in one story. So don't forget about that. So you need to have some kind of structure in that sense. Important thing to also to keep in mind, and it's not very hard to do that. Basically, in every area, you have some main phrases, main terms that people use a lot. So you just need to learn them and use them as well. And people will think that you are like an expert in this field, right? Actually, it works as well, not only for data analytics competitions, I think. Okay, another point is that and it will add some scientific vibes to your submission, that probably you should provide some references, like 5 or 6 references to some articles, to some news articles as well. You can do that, I think. So that's an important thing to keep to add there as well. And also summary of your work. It doesn't matter, I think. You can provide it in the end of your submission or in the beginning, but it should be somewhere at least. Okay, and what about like overall narrative, overall style of your submission in terms of the text? Let's again imagine some axis. On one side, we will have some boring academic article, and on the other hand, we'll have some funny blog posts. Like probably you can find some examples of such posts on Medium, for example, right? And your submission should be somewhere in between these two extremes. So don't go too much into this meme territory, and also don't go too much in this, like, how it's called, theory-driven academic research, right? So keep the balance here. It will be perfect for this type of competition, I think. And another example of why writing is important here. So this competition that we lost, March Madness Analytics, and the task there was to tell a story about college basketball throughout a combination of both narrative text and data exploration. So we had, in our submission, we had different types of networks, as usual. Nice visualizations of these networks. I mean, we even had random exponential random graph model. Like what else can you do, right? I mean, it's top. But we had different types of networks, but we didn't kind of combine them. We had some networks of assists, and we had some networks of teams in the second part, but it was just different networks, and the overall story was unclear, and it was unclear for us as well. Another point is that we just didn't know anything about basketball, to be honest. Like, it was just number crunching for us, and we don't know a lot about basketball still. So the point is that you need to invest more time into the main area and provide some intuition of that, what's going on really behind these numbers. And we haven't done this, right? And actually, for like sport analytics competitions, it's quite important to do. So in the end, no place for us, but good
experience to learn.
Yeah, experience to learn and experience for you as well.
Yes.
Okay, so your submission. What is the main part of your submission, right? Statistical methods that you use, programming language in which you use these methods, your write-ups of your results, your text, and visualization. We discussed all these things, but you need to remember that you need to think about them simultaneously from the beginning of your competition, of your starting your submission. So, for example, if you want to use some statistical method, then you need to look, okay, does this method exist in R or in Python, or does it exist anywhere? How I'm going to write about the results of this method? How I'm going to visualize these results? Because some of the methods are better in terms of visualization, and some of them worse. So you need to keep all these things in mind from the start and throughout your competition. So they should be together. Okay, so as we already discussed, you need to provide a summary of your submission. So here is the summary of our presentation as well. So how to win data analytics competitions? Main points here: have a great team and a lot of time. Top advice, probably no one will argue with that, but it's actually very important. It's the main point, because not a lot of, some people just don't have a lot of time to participate in such competitions, I think, and not a lot of people have team to do that. So that's the main thing that you should start from. Another point is you need to invest some time, a few days at least, to understand what organizers really want from you, what they expect you to do, because sometimes it cannot be clear. And you also need to understand who your competitors are, because you will be able to do something different from them if you know what they will do. In terms of the methods, just utilize some reasonably complicated methods. Do not go too deep into the territory of advanced stuff, because you won't have time for that. But also just don't do some simple stuff, because probably it just won't be that interesting for you as well. And I think you can learn a lot just by taking the more advanced stuff here. In terms of the language, probably you better stick to R, and remember to invest some time to handle Kaggle notebook problems, because I think you will face them. I hope not, but you never know, right? In terms of visualizations, of course, fascinate judges with your network plots, but also don't forget about other important visualizations, and just keep invest some time into visualization in terms of don't do this just one day before the end of the competition. And practice your writing skills. Just also invest time into this. Check your submission for errors, for grammatical errors, for just try to invest time into this as well. Okay, and the last question for today, like, should you participate in this, right? What you will get from this. So if you just participate, you will get methodological experience, right? You will learn how to use some statistical methods. You will learn how to apply them in for some like really interesting data. You will have also, in addition to that, you will have knowledge, new knowledge in some substantive area. It's always nice to have this knowledge, I think. Also, you will improve your storytelling skill. It's also quite important skill to have, not only for data analytics competitions. Also, this process of finding out what your organizers really want from you, somewhat similar to the process of finding out what your client is really want from you. So you can call this consulting experience as well. You will learn how to answer some questions there where it's not clear what the question really is. And of course, a lot of coding practice. You will do a lot of processing of your data, either in R or in Python, it doesn't matter, but you will have a lot of this practice for sure. And you will get some pet project that you can kind of share with, for example, potential employers, right? It's always nice to have something like this. But what if you win, right? What if you win this competition? First of all, line in your CV. I don't think that it's important for people who have a lot of working experience in the area of data science. But if you don't have this experience, this line can help you, I think, a lot. Because it will allow you to stand out from other potential applicants. Some international recognition, not for a long time, but still maybe for some people it's important. And last but not least, of course, some money. Always good to have some additional source of income, right? So I think that's it for today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can email us. You can see our emails here, or you can find us on any social media you feel comfortable with and just drop us a line. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
Artyom, Katya, thank you very much. This was a delightful presentation. For me too. I was sitting there and just commenting in my head to everything you were saying. So thank you for putting together a very well organized, I think, and thoughtful experience, because I actually did not know there was a competition you didn't win. So you are 4 out of 5, right? But that actually tells me you're not perfect, you're human, because I was actually questioning whether or not you're human. Thank you. I think this was very helpful. And with your permission, I will use this presentation for all of our master's students that come after you, because it's encouraging, I think, for everyone to see that you can start not knowing anything about the environment or the basketball and try your chances. So if anything, I want to encourage everyone who came here today to try their chances. But I also want to highlight one more important point that Artyom and Kate made. We actually didn't talk about this, but the point that they've made was that what's the difference between people who participate and people who win? I think that anyone on the participating side can potentially move to the winning side if they do the same things that other people do, because you're not defined as a data scientist, for example. You define yourself by the experiences that you get from your work and from your studies. Anyone can learn to code in Python. Anyone can learn to generate insights and do analytics with the data. So that was a very important slide. If Kate, Artem, if you can go back to that, I would appreciate that to show that's the difference between those who participate and who win. It's a very important slide that shows that coding is not everything. And unfortunately, right now, there is this, I would say, myth that if you have a degree in data science and can code in Python, you have it all. That's not quite true. There is a little bit more to success in the real world, because you will have to deal with real world data and real world problems when you get out of your program, no matter which program you choose in data science and analytics and statistics, or no analytic program at all, you do it on your own. Doesn't matter how you study analytics, make sure you pick up those skills and analytical models, visualization, storytelling, learn about the domain knowledge. Those things are important much more than learning machine learning, pardon the pun, and any other sophisticated methods. So that's a very important point. And of course, I have to say that this is what we teach in our program, but that's my job as an academic supervisor of the program. It's also my job to say that as an academic mother to my students, I'm very proud of Artem and Kate's success. And I think they will do very well no matter the path they choose in life, because they're brave and they're willing to work hard. I think this is 90% of success in analytics, because it takes effort, patience, a little bit of luck, and a lot of coffee, as they have told us in their last slide. We will be happy to answer questions if you have any. I will not be talking about our program right now. I have done that many times. I think this presentation should be about Artem and Kate.
You have some questions?
We had a couple of questions about the cost of the program and whether or not someone should participate or join, what requires to join a PhD program. I have answered those. There were no questions about the competition, but I think you've done a fabulous job. Teachers are very proud of, yes, we are very proud of them. I have adopted them. I consider myself their mother. Doesn't matter that they don't consider me their mother. Thank you, Jose. That was a very nice comment. Thank you, everyone. Please follow us on Facebook and the resources for learning a multitude of models. That's our program. That's our master's program. They're not just two random guys from Russia. They're two guys from Russia who have graduated from the best program in applied statistics in Russia, because that's the only one. I mean, well, it's not the only one anymore, but it's still the best program in applied statistics in Russia. When it opened, it was the only program in Russia that offered this type of education. Now there are some other programs that do just as good of a job. So please contact us, follow us on Facebook, follow us on, we have a Telegram channel for our applicants, and we're trying to entertain you a little bit sometimes with quiz questions and some other information. We do have a strong social media presence, of course, because we're Networks Lab. And of course, Artem and Kate gave you the email messages, so feel free to write to them. And I will not spam you with future messages. Like I said, I didn't want you to miss this one, but now I think you see why I did that. And I'm looking forward to all of you joining this fabulous world of data analytics, whether you do it with us or not. I think you should give yourself a chance, because I think data analytics is the skill of the future. It used to be that knowing a foreign language was a big deal. Now, knowing data analytics is a big deal, and those who do are going to be well ahead of those who do not. So please join us in this exciting journey, and hopefully I will see you soon in some way or the other. Artem, Kate, again, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
There are some questions in the question answer block. I'm not sure if I see those. Am I missing them?
Well, some questions are not answered, but
Which questions? Because I don't think I see them.
from Zoe, I guess. It's open questions, and Zoe asked about she's a freshman in college and have no prior knowledge in data science. What skills do you suggest I build up on before joining analytic competitions? Can you see it?
I can't. I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
But the question is for Tim and Kate.
So,
Okay, let's just.
yeah, this one.
Oh.
In the open section.
Yeah. So what skills do you suggest I build upon for joining analytics competitions? But again, I think the thing here is that you need to have a variety of skills, but just do not invest the whole time to learning programming or just variety of statistical models. Also invest some time to writing skills, to visualization skills as well. So they also play an important part of this type of competitions. In general, like in terms of methods, I think it's hard to suggest some even like a group of methods to learn, but I think it's better to start with some regression type of modeling, I guess, some things like this, because I think usually you can apply them
almost in any competition. So learn how they work, how to interpret them, and how to embed that into some larger substantive area that you're working with. So this is important.
Also, I think this question is also for us, right? Like multi-level vector regression model. I know some. Yeah, like. So the question is.
Yeah, it's sort of related. Yeah, multi-level vector regression modeling and vector regression modeling in general related. Yeah, but it's more advanced.
I don't know if it's more advanced than ARIMA. It's kind of different. So. It's hard to say, but it's. I mean, like vector regression is basically like a bunch of regressions.
Yes. So in that modeling, you do not have a concrete distinction between dependent and independent variables. So all your variables are dependent, and that complexity of modeling is what distinguishes this methodology from, I think,
from ARIMA. Yeah.
Well, my students, I think the sign of a good parent is when their children go further and become better than the parents are, right? So I have never won a competition because I've never participated, which points 0 to your checklist of participate, right? But I think one of the most important parts is it's not about methods. Kate and Artyom have talked about this, that it's really not the method. You can learn the method. And looking at some of the methods that Kate and Artyom have used, yes, some of them we taught them in the program, but some of them they've learned on their own. So once you figure out what you need to do, you can open an example, open a book, and figure out what to do. That's not the problem. The problem is getting there. So I think understanding how all of that data and analytics fit together is the most important skill, but that you will not pick up from specific skills courses. It's almost like a general education that you have to get. You almost have to become well-versed in understanding how theory fits with data. Theory is an answer to a question why. That's my teacher's hat on. So basically, just learn what you're passionate about, get deeper into the field you like, and become good at it. Once you're good at the field you like, figuring out how to use methods to answer questions within that field, that part will be much easier. So I see lots of students who take lots of courses just to have many certificates, many degrees, many whatever, but they're not really well versed in any of the subjects they take. They take a lot, but none of it is too deep. So that's my own suggestion, because what Artyom and Kate really did is they just kind of, they didn't talk about this because I don't think they realized they did that, is they just dived in and they dug into some of the things they liked. And they, from that deep knowledge, they extracted some additional information to the point that they're analyzing their competition and predicting what the competition would do, because they know what they are doing. So know what you are, know what you are not. And let me tell you, you're not going to learn it all. None of us are. But become good at one area, and then you can take every competition in it. That's my 5 cents.
I also think that we have a question for us as well. Like, can you share your solutions of these competitions? So we provided, like, maybe we can share the presentation, because we have links here for these Kaggle notebooks. So, and there you can see all the code, all the things. Maybe we can just share this presentation if you write to us, for example, or I don't know, maybe someone else can share it for us. So, let's go. Oh no.
So
yeah,
yeah, if you write to us,
yeah,
will
we can
send
share the presentation if you write to
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
with all the links. Yeah, as for R and Python, we discussed that extensively.
I guess ours, in terms of this type of communications,
Yeah,
I think ours
Our
better.
feeling is R is better. However, the majority of the participants use still Python, and they very often win. And of course, you need to, make a decision based on the concrete question you have on the concrete situation. Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone. This recording will be available, and we'll send the message to you with the recording. And of course, we will have it posted in our media. So if you don't receive a message for some reason, contact us, and we'll go ahead and send you this wonderful presentation and the recording of it. And again, follow us on our social media, and we'll share more exciting stories with you. Again, Katya, Artyom, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm delighted to be your academic mother, in case you're wondering.
We are happy to learn from you as well, of course.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye, everyone.